This is the Alliance Dispatch. Do you read us?
This is the Alliance Dispatcher. I am your friendly neighbourhood dispatcher, Danny.
And I'm your less friendly neighbourhood dispatcher, James Swingerspiggers Adams. And today is our first proper episode, isn't it, Danny?
It is. We're going for it. We're going in cold. We've just recorded our YouTube, please subscribe to us. So if you're watching this, subscribe, comment, let us know what you want us to chat about in future.
If anything, just to watch me attempt and flail about to do some sort of Star Wars dance move during the intro, which I cannot hear due to how we record.
I can't hear it either. I just hope that...
You're guessing as well?
No, I can see the sound stop playing, and then that's when I do my intro, but I can't hear it. I'm not dancing in beat either.
There's a better way to do this than that. If you guys know, chat, let us know. If there's a better way to do this, hit us up, because we're terrible at this already.
Yeah, we are. And we have been, historically.
So getting us back on track, straight back in. We used to be a content creation trio, not duo, trio, called the Three Man Meta. You may have heard of us from that. Maybe not, probably not. That was for a Star Wars card game called Star Wars Destiny. It was a card and dice game. Danny, do you want to go any more on RIP Star Wars Destiny?
I mean, what a game. It was made by Fantasy Flight. Jeremy, who's one of the designers on Unlimited, he took over lead design when the creator of that game left for Magic the Gathering. And it was those dice, man. Those dice.
They were great. It was one of those things, and we'll get into this, but it was my same initial impressions for Star Wars Unlimited I had with Destiny, where the pictures of those dice looked so big and ugly and childish, and I'm going to get a lot of flame for saying that about Unlimited now. That I was like, there's no way I'm playing that. I played X-Wing at the time, so it's like pure Star Wars for me. I was like, there's no way this game looks trash, and it was really sick.
It turns out when you've got 5 of those dice in your hands and you just ka-junk roll, it's one of the best feelings.
And you may have won something or other.
Did I? I mean, you can't see my webcam, but I'll just hold this up. There it is. There's loads of glare, but it's the 2017 National Champion Star Wars Destiny trophy. I cheekily posted it on a sales post on one of the Facebook groups, and a guy called Greg, who apparently won the national championships for the following 2 years after that, commented being he wants my one to complete the set. And I just want to vocalize right now, imagine having the original trilogy, which is what I've got. And then you come in.
Well, you've got episode 1 to be fair. But
no, I've got the original trilogy. This is Star Wars. This is Empire. This is Jedi.
Yeah, cool.
And then some guy comes in and is like, "Oh, well, I've won the prequels and the sequels. Who gives a fuck about them?" No one cares. No, literally, no one cares.
No one cares about this chat, to be fair, because that was
absolutely
a game.
Yeah.
It was a dead game when we played it. It's a dead game now. So we're here talking about Star Wars Unlimited instead.
We are. Star Wars Unlimited. With its unlimited possibilities. What did you think, Ben? When it got announced?
When? Pre-playing? Pre-release?
Way back. The first time you heard the words, new Star Wars card game from Fantasy Flight Games.
I was like, good luck. It's Fantasy Flight Games.
Fantasy Flight, notorious for running games for about 3 years and then just...
Exactly. I was thinking Unlimited is such a funny, self-aware term because this game is so limited in scope. It will be here for 3 years maximum. Hey, that might still be true. I'm flaming this game so hard right now. I thought the same thing about Destiny. I was like, this art is terrible. That Chewbacca is dog. Sorry, I've sworn already.
Utini!
It's fine. Utini! We'll throw some sound effects over, it's fine. But that Chewbacca is warranting swear words. It's terrible. And Han Solo looks like a Disney prince. I don't know. I think a lot of people feel this way, right? When they first saw the card art, they were like, oh, that's not good.
Yeah, their big thing, right, was Star Wars Unlimited, new art, because FSG just recycled the same art across all of their products. So you could show me a piece of original FFG art and I could tell you what it was in at least 2 games.
Yeah, that is true. But I mean, that a lot of that art is sick.
Yeah.
I didn't hate that. But when you justify, like, it is spanning every piece of Star Wars media, like comics, cartoons, you know, films, it makes sense they need to unify it somehow. Like when you look at like Ezra Bridger, he needs to fit in with, you know, Cassian Andor.
Yeah.
So for that reason alone, I think it was a good decision.
Yeah.
And now, present day, if we're flash forwarding, it was a good decision. I think when you see it all lined up on the table, it all looks sick.
Yeah. Like a lot of the original like pre-release, like, oh, here are some card teasers and blah 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 were coming out. I was like, man, this art is not jamming my Jimmy at all.
Yeah. Well, that's so I was going to ask you, what was your first impression? Because I was like so down on this game. I was like,
like I was gonna just wait for it to be released. I didn't pay almost any attention to it until about 3 weeks ago when we did pre-release. You know, we would share like meme cards which were just like, why does Chewbacca look like a hairy thumb? Sorry to the artist who drew that, but my God, have you seen Chewbacca?
It's not it, cuz.
Yeah,
it looks like Cousin It.
Yeah, I had a stack of cards that I bought from Big Orbit come through this morning, and I was just putting them in my binder, and I bought 3 Mace Windows, and I was just like, this doesn't even look like Mace Windu, man.
It's actually problematic, that card, for sure.
Yeah. So, you know, my initial thoughts were like, just kind of like jabbing on the art, but I think on the whole, actually, when you look at the entire set, 99% of it is beautiful. Like fantastic pieces of art, and not really knowing much about how the game played as well up to pre-release. Like I knew there was a space and a ground zone, and I knew you had to blow up your opponent's base and you had a leader. I watched a couple of, what's Bobby's channel, KTOD or KDOT, one of the two. Like they had done some videos, so I'm kind of like, oh, you know, let's get some pre-release knowledge from this, because you know, obviously people have been playing this on TTS for the last 6 months as cards have kind of been drip fed out. I'm really not a big fan, and this is even going back to the Destiny days of like, one new card gets spoiled and everyone's just like, oh, this is crazy and unbeatably broken, or this card is completely useless, and it's like, well, we still need to see another 149 other cards in this set.
I think it says a lot that these people are doing that. Like the torch that they hold for Star Wars is huge, and like we've seen a lot of old faces from the Destiny space, like in content creation and in like just players. So obviously that this is something that people deeply care about, and it speaks a lot to that when people are testing with like 1 or 2 new cards, or you know, half a set, a third of a set. But I'm the same. Like I'm like, TCGs don't work in a way that you can like slowly build this jigsaw. Like I guess it's part of the hype for a lot of people. Fair play if it is, but like in terms of practicality, I just don't. I'm the same. So I went into pre-release pretty blind, which is quite nice, to be honest, because like I play Flesh and Blood, which is a competitive card game, and every set that comes out when there's a pre-release, I know pretty much every single card that's in those packs before I open, and have a good idea
about what I'm
looking for. You know. So to open these brand new packs, paper packs, great stuff.
Oh,
well done.
One of the best things that Flesh and Blood ever did was paper packs.
I was going to say,
I've got a paper pack here. I'm just like, it's incredible. Like I can put this in the recycling bin in 2024.
Yeah,
incredible,
huge.
Love it.
Yeah, so the pack experience, like opening experience, is great, and that leads us onto hyperspace cards and foils, I guess. Like, the foils in this game aren't it for me. I don't think they're quite the standard that I've gotten used to. Again, with I'm just going to name drop Fab, like their foils are insane.
Oh, incredible! I used to play Fab. I stopped kind of about 15 months ago or so when our local scene died. But the foils in this are very similar to what are in Lorcana, like just kind of full.
Everything's
kind of glossy.
You open your pack and you're blinded.
Yeah, and it doesn't accent anywhere, and I really like accented foils. And like the promo foils or the showcase foils, right? They're not accented in the art, but there are extra shiny kind of stripes that run through it, and I feel like that kind of just makes the card a lot more. It just makes it pop a lot more. Like,
and the foils in the OP kit is really nice as well. And it is, again, it's like fully foil, but it's got like a different treatment, and it's really nice.
Yeah.
So the foils are a bit disappointing for me, being a Magpie in Fab, but the hyperspace cards, let's just talk about those. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
They are like the fittest cards I've ever seen. Like, I want to hyperspace everything. I am kind of annoyed that it's not just the standard treatment cards, but as a collector as well, I'm also like quite enjoying the chase of hunting them down. Yeah. So I'm like 50-50. What's your thoughts on hyperspace?
Yeah, so like, you know, every time I've walked into my local game store for the last 2 weeks, I've gone up to the counter, I've bought 3 packs of Unlimited. And I just keep cracking them, and every time I get a hyperspace, I'm like, ooh, even if it's a common, I'm just like, yes, nice, I've got another hyperspace for the collection. And the last time I did it, on Wednesday, I managed to pull a Darth Vader, which was my 3rd Darth Vader for my playset, which I was overly hyped about, and I was kind of just thinking to myself, do I need to stop buying 3 packs every time I need to walk in? Financially, yes, but the child inside of me is like, but what if I get, you know, a hyperspace Vader? I mean, I would sell it instantly.
They are like really good packs to open, like, and that sounds really backwards, but like coming again, I'm just going to draw from Fab, I'm sorry, but coming from that, well, come from Destiny as well, which had no foils, no extra treatments, which was a big mistake looking back, and then
had no reason to open packs of Destiny.
Sorry,
you had no reason to open up additional packs of Destiny. Just buy singles and you're done.
Yeah, 100%. And then Flesh and Blood had a period of a couple of sets, or 3 sets maybe, that was so bad to open. Like, there was nothing like super crazy in there. And then they started adding cold foils and these things called Marvels, which are like double-sided cold foil and then full art, but like with really nice foiling, like, you know, the Flesh and Blood foiling. Yeah. And now it's exciting to open those packs again, and you want to open those packs. Even though the odds aren't there, you want to, you know, never tell me the odds.
You might do it.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think it's a huge win for Unlimited to have like these crazy amounts of different treatments of these cards. I think
and like, just every set we're just going to get more and more and more, right? And every OP season we'll get new OP packs with new full art foil stuff in there.
And the knock-on effect as well is that non-foils should be really cheap. Should be a really cheap game to play. Like, the secondary market should be swamped with boxes, which I suppose leads us on to this next point of the current news of FFG Asmodee have run out of boxes because it's sold that well. Yeah. Which is, well, it would be considered a problem, but they seem to have a backup plan in place from what they've said.
Yeah. And this kind of happened with Lorcana as well. First set came out, it sold out instantly within 2 weeks, and then you just couldn't buy it for 3 months.
So with that, and that despite the prices, presumably.
Oh yeah, big times. Singles prices went through the roof.
Yeah, so it's worth thinking going forward, looking at least in the immediate future, that while Asmodee's statement might go some way to calming the market, it might not be the best time to buy in the next month or 2 while they get that allocation out. Because I think singles are probably gonna.
Yeah, and especially for like UK and probably European players as well, with the big London tournament happening this weekend. You know, K2SOs are up to like £10, which is probably like $13 or something. No, I don't even know if it's that high. My currency conversion is rubbish. But yeah,
you best believe I sold those. So yeah, I mean, we've sort of gone a roundabout way of saying we thought the game was going to be trash.
Yeah.
Then we played it. Well, as we led up to it, we're like, oh, this game's looking pretty good.
We were always going to play it.
Yeah.
We were kidding ourselves that we were never going to, at some point, buy a starter deck, go to a sealed event, go to a draft, and play the Star Wars game. Like, me and you are huge Star Wars geeks. Like,
100%. Yeah. It was always going to happen, wasn't it? There was always this sense of inevitability in the chats where we're like, oh, look at Chewbacca, oh, this game's going to be trash. Oh, but it's Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars.
Yeah, the game's good. And so it sort of worked out. We didn't plan it, really, did we? But no. I knew you when I was at university in Norwich. You used to live in Norwich.
2015 is when Destiny came out. 2016, maybe? That was late 2015.
I started uni in 2016. I think it was just before I started uni. Yeah. And then I left uni in 2019 when Destiny was all but dead. And I moved to London for a couple of years. Obviously, COVID happened, and now I live in Bristol, which is on the other side of the country.
From Norwich. It's like kind of like Norwich is up here, Bristol is here.
I'm guessing that you're doing
For
the
our
right job.
viewers.
I can't.
Our audio listeners, that will mean nothing to you, but
yeah, he's probably pointing completely wrong. But anyway, so that leads us to like the fact you just happened to be travelling through Bristol and wanted to come say hi because we've not seen each other in the flesh for 2 years, 3 years.
3 years. We had bumped into each other at a couple of Fab events.
Yeah. I came to visit Norwich I stayed with you in Norwich one time over like lockdowns.
Yeah, but we hadn't really, had a good couple of days just playing cards, hanging out and just chilling.
Yeah.
And it just so happened to be the weekend that the pre-releases were happening. So we tried to go on. We tried to go one on Friday, but your dog would eat the house if we left her home alone. So we couldn't go to the one on Friday, but we did go to one on Saturday. And that was the first time I had properly opened packs, looked at what the cards did, looked at what leaders did. I had a bit of an inkling about who I should be looking at and good cards from a couple of YouTube videos I watched the night before while going to bed.
And who you should be looking at, IG88.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Which, fun story about that shortly, I guess. And like initially I didn't even know the packs were paper. So like when I opened my pre-release box and I cracked the first pack, I was like, oh my God, yes.
Yeah, I think there was like this ripple effect, wasn't there? Of everyone, like, paper packs. And you're like, like everyone was loving that. Like, yeah, it's great.
And like in my first pack, I opened a hyperspace foil Han Solo, which I've still got to this day, and his price is just plummeting down and down and down and down. I should have just sold him day one for half the price.
Memento, mate.
Memento, yeah, I probably can't sell him now because first pack hyperfoil was.
That is pretty sweet.
Pretty sweet.
I think I didn't pull anything like crazy. I had like a hyperfoil TIE Fighter, which looks so good.
Yeah.
But I didn't have like any legendaries or anything. But I just had a really strong deck. I think.
Yeah, I think I pulled a command. I think command was one of my big, which I didn't use.
Yeah. I pulled a command in the prize packs afterwards actually, so we both ended up with commands. But I mean, we both ended up playing Boba, didn't we?
Yeah.
And Boba is broken.
Boba is pretty good. And the only reason I kind of settled on Boba as well, because I opened my 6 packs and I stacked my cards into like neutral, villain, and hero, and then like just stacked all the colours I had on top of it. And I just looked at how tall the stacks were, and my hero stack was about half the size of my villain stack, and I was like, right, don't care what cards are in there. I need 50 cards, so I'm not playing hero, I'm playing villain. What villains have I pulled? I've pulled like Tarkin or Boba, and I was like, just Boba Fett, man. Like, Tarkin's a cool character, but it's Boba Fett, right? His backpack's got jets.
And I think it's like, I was the same as you. I didn't do like any like hardcore research or anything before. Like, I think I watched like one video maybe. I think I played one demo game before the pre-release. That was it. Like
I did do a demo game.
The week before I played the demo game, and thought, oh, this is actually really addictive. This is cool. But in that time, I think I'd looked at the heroes and that was it. And immediately I was like, oh, Boba is just busted, right? Like, cheating resources in any card game seems crazy. And like, the fact that it's not an action either is bizarre to me.
Yeah, and then on his flip turn, you get the 2 additional resources if you manage to swing with him. So like turn 5, you've got 8 resources. Like,
it's insane.
Good.
Like, the free resource swing on the turn you get him out is nuts, and his stats are decent as well. Like, he was just so good. I think I splashed him with red because I had like 2 bombing runs, 2 open fires. I bombing runned my way into wins, but I shouldn't have had basically. Nice. But we played best of 3, didn't we?
I splashed my Boba with blue in the end because I just had a lot of takedowns and vanquishes. Just a lot of the good blue removal. I was just well, I can just kind of use Boba's ability to get these cards out.
And I think you end up paying 1 less for these cards, and you're like, cool.
Yeah. Like, I think we did 3 rounds that day, didn't we?
Oh, is it? 3 best of 3s, right?
3 best of 3s, and I don't remember what I played first round, but my last 2 games were against IG-88s. And the second round, I absolutely obliterated him because he just comes out on the same turn as Boba, and it's just like, even you just look at his like attack and defense, and it's just miles below him. Let alone his ability is just not.
Yeah,
good.
that is something a little concerning for me. Is like, I know that they're good designers at Sue, so maybe we're just waiting for the next few sets are going to make these guys like the powerhouses they should be. But like the disparity between some of these leaders is kind of wild.
Yeah.
For me personally, I'm a bit like, oh, that's, like I say, like Boba not being an action and his stat line being what it is, coming out on the turn that he does is, and you compare that to someone like AG88, you're like, what?
Yeah, how are you two playing the same game?
Yeah,
the answer is they're not. The answer
it's
is
like
they are
champions, like it's crazy.
Yeah. But then in my last game, I played another IG-88, and he did manage to take me down. It was like, he completely ran me over game 1. I completely ran him over games 2, and then game 3, my hand was just bricks after bricks after bricks, and they just pulled it out. I couldn't wipe his board. IG-88 actually came online because he started having more units than me. And then all that raid damage just stacked up. So it can happen.
Rinsing IG-88, but it did kind of just push you into the bin at the end there.
Absolutely.
Okay, just so we're on the same page.
Yeah. And I haven't played against IG-88 since.
Yeah, well, I mean, why would you, right? So I played Boba as well. I played Boba Red, and I think my first game was against a Leia. Walked through that as a good guy that I don't think played many card games, which is a really nice thing, to be fair, like that Star Wars does, and I imagine Lorcana did the same thing, where you get people at these pre-releases that are just like, I've never played a card game.
Yeah, but it's got the characters I like on them.
Yeah, and that's really cool, and like it's cool to walk through with that, and like walk them through how things should work, and things like that.
Yeah.
Then I played a close. I think I played against 2 Bobas, from what I remember actually.
Right.
I think that's right. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was 2 mirrors, and one was like a yellow green and one was yellow red, so the same as me.
Yeah.
But I went 6-0, so didn't get put in the bin by IG-88, so that felt pretty good.
Yeah, you finished second, or?
Yeah, I think I finished second next to a guy that just had better breakers, basically, but people that had...
Yeah, because the guy who I lost to finished first, so...
Right,
sorry about that.
It's okay. I'm just going to hold it.
Yeah, I think I ended up finishing about 5th or 6th in that release.
I can't remember how many players there were, like 18 or something.
Yeah, about 18.
But yeah, so that was the Bristol pre-release, and that was sort of obviously great to see you again.
Yeah,
scruffy looking nerf herder.
Yeah,
and we just nerded out, which was really nice. And it just, like I said, it feels like full circle. Like we had this Destiny podcast. You were a champion, national champion. I hate to say it, of Destiny. We were pretty much one of the major UK content creators for that game. I don't think I'm blowing any trumpets to say that. I'm pretty sure the stats are there.
Yeah.
So then, and we've not really done any content creation since. And then the game's just really cool. And the fact that there was pre-release happened on the same weekend that you're coming to visit me for the first time in 3 years or whatever it was. Yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah, I made you not go to a Flesh and Blood tournament because I was like,
really sad about that.
It's fate. It's fate, James.
It's probably for the best. I had a better time. I think genuinely, so the last Flesh and Blood set was a really good sealed experience. It's the best one they've done because they've really struggled with sealed, I think. The pre-release for Unlimited, I think, there's a bus there. Don't know if you heard that. The pre-release for Unlimited blew that set out of the water. I think, genuinely, sealed is so fun in this game. So fun.
Yeah.
I think I've seen a lot of people saying it should be best of 1 because of those new players. There's people that weren't a lot of us weren't used to the cards, but there's also these people that are coming that just like Star Wars. And I do see the merit in that, although I did think by the end of that day I was like, I wasn't so happy hearing that it was a best of 3 game, but now I'm like, it should be a best of 3 game because it's so quick, and that there are times where you just brick, and I think it does deserve to be best of 3 game, but I can see the argument that pre-release should be best of 1. I don't know if you've got any thoughts on that.
Yeah, my local weekly meetups for the last 2 weeks have been best of 1s because they were like, people are just going to try and get their decks together. They're still giving us like 45 minutes to do a best of one, so it's only like 5 minutes less time to do the best of three. But a couple of games are going to time, just on one game within that time. So it's definitely people are getting to grips with the motions of playing. But we're going to best of three next week, and we'll see how that ends up going. Really, the tiebreaker is a bit weird, isn't it? Like if you are both one game up and then you go to your last game and then you finish that phase, and if someone doesn't win, then you both get a loss or you both draw or whatever. Like it kind of makes me feel a bit, if you're kind of going on to Twickenham at the weekend, my biggest concern is control decks through people not purposely doing it but playing slowly. If they manage to win game one, it's actually just having enough time to then win 2 games after that. I think a lot of the skill within that matchup is seeing your defeat 10 minutes early and just being like, I forfeit game 2, please.
I think that's, you say that, I think that's a skill with Swoop. That's going to be a skill going forward, right? Is knowing when to say, enough is enough, let's reset, let's go again. Because, like you say, the rules aren't great for that, but I don't really see a better way right now. Like, I know in Fab you get a draw, which is basically a loss in all but name, and it's like the 10th tiebreaker down. But I don't think you can award people wins or like better than that, because then you get friends essentially conceding to each other to like scoop themselves into top cuts together. So I think, unfortunately, it's unfortunately, I think there's like the hard fatigue decks that I've played in Flesh and Blood since. When you do your thing, you have to be so efficient. You have to be like planning your turn on their turn, and especially with a game like this, it's back and forth. You just need to be like, I do this. Like you just need to. It's almost like a chess block, right? You just need to be so efficient and so quick, because then it's on. It's not on you as the player that's dragging this game out. It's on your opponent to think quicker.
And I think that's kind of the vibe that why people are really gelling with this game. It is the you go, I go action, which is the same kind of thing Destiny had. Fingers crossed action cheating doesn't get as rife as it did in Destiny. A little bit of action cheating is all right, I think. Like, Fleet Lieutenant, where you can play it, attack with a guy, and he's boosted up. Stuff like that. Great. I think when you start chaining kind of like 4 actions together, it could start getting wildly out of control, and hopefully they've picked that up from the Destiny days and are carrying that forward.
There is, I was going to say, there is a reason as well why people are so like buzzing about that back and forth nature, right? Like, you don't want to establish the rule just to break it into a million pieces with 100 different cards, right? Like, people are enjoying the back and forth nature. Let's just stick with that for at least a little while.
Set 2 of Destiny broke that.
Exactly. I think that's the reason as well that we see so much green splashed into decks, really, is because of ECL, right? The Energy Conversion Lab base, which lets you send something in with ambush that shouldn't have ambush. That's just really powerful, really. Like, cheating actions should be really powerful.
And especially when you do ECL with like the ground unit that can ready itself if there's 15 damage on a base, or you do it on a fire spray. So you get to go in, you get to blow something up, and then you get to ready up again to blow something else up, or then go straight into your opponent's base. Like, that kind of stuff is so powerful.
Early days. It's
early days. ECL is head and shoulders above every other base in the game. When you compare it to give yourself a shield or deal 3 damage to a damaged unit, it's just not comparable. Like, Steadfast Battalion doing 6 overwhelm, ambush, 7 even with your leader out. It's very, very powerful, and it does allow you to kind of just one-shot 80% of the leaders in the game. I think it's only like kind of like Vader, Iden, Chewie, Palpatine, Thrawn, I think are like, off the top of my head, are the ones who can kind of really withstand that 1-card combo, 2-card combo, but your base is just sat there waiting.
And we've got to look at this like going forward. Like, if that is the base like power level that we can expect from bases, it's probably fine, because then you'll get yellow and blue bases and other splash colors that are as good as that. Looking at it right now, it's way too powerful, I think. Like in terms of like, we're skewing to a lot of green because of that base, really. Like, the cards are good as well, don't get me wrong. Like, Vader's obviously insane.
Vader's
but
crazy.
Just having that on the field, like a permanent on the field that says, when I want, I get to do X amount of damage and disrupt your turn entirely, is huge, right? That's worth more than 5 health a lot of the time, because you're doing probably around 3 or 4 damage minimum, plus your surprise damage, which is worth probably double the amount of damage generally. Plus, we're talking about back and forth games, you're probably ready to attack with that thing. It's just craziness. Like,
and hopefully we'll see in the next set. I would assume every set is going to have at least one epic action base for each color. And maybe in the next set we'll see the green one not be so powerful, and hopefully like the yellow one, for instance, which I think does legitimately have some use. -4 damage allows you to trade quite aggressively into something that you should not be trading into. But you know, it's just not on the same level.
No, like, I'm running the shield one right now in the Inquisitor list, and it just feels pretty bad. You kind of have to. It's one of those, like, and I don't mind that for bases. Like, it feels a bit bad, but you kind of have to. That's probably, at least along like this first set baseline, that's probably what they should be doing. So either ECL is like just way overstated and pushed as hell, and we're going to see a ban or something, or it's an indication of where bases are going to be. And
I find it quite interesting as well. Like, I guess every set we're going to get like 2 more like unepic action green bases, so we'll end up with just this big plethora of like, ooh, where on Endor is my Han Solo deck going to set up his base? Is it going to be on the shield generator? Is it going to be in the Ewok village? And I really like just the flavor of that kind of stuff as well. Because ECL, I don't even know where that is. I haven't got the card near me, but it will say
conversion lab. I don't know.
Where is the energy conversion lab? Someone will know.
Get some engagement here.
Drop in the comments.
Tell us what ECL is.
Give me the lore.
It was what?
Give me the lore of ECL.
I mean, I was clearing out my Star Wars Destiny folder to fill with SWU, which was quite an emotional moment. But there was an Ewok village battlefield there, which is
I remember
in Destiny. It was more like you claim the battlefield instead of initiative. And the claim effect on that was remove all shields from a character. So we could see an Ewok village in SWU that says remove all shields from a character. But that'll be the epic action. It'll probably be a 25-point green base or something.
And not good enough because not many decks run shields.
No.
But unless they do.
Yeah,
right. Like, I've seen some some theory crafters on like a mid-range Luke deck that just shields like nuts.
It can be very annoying until you run into Sabine with Saboteur out of her bum. And that's just not going to cut it.
A lot of saboteurs.
With the swears there.
Yeah. So I'll just quickly finish up on pre-release. Back
to that.
So we finished playing on the Saturday. We went down the pub for a swift pint, and then I jumped on a train to get back to Norwich. I got home at about 1 a.m. Sunday morning. I went to sleep immediately, and then I woke up at 10 to get down my local store for their pre-release on Sunday. They actually ran 2 pre-releases that weekend. My local is Athena Games, for anyone who knows of them. I know they're quite big online retailer-ish now, but obviously not huge. But I understand they've got some national fame. And again, after I did the exact same thing I did the day before, I stacked all my hero cards, villain cards, and neutral cards, and my villain cards were higher than my hero cards. I drafted garbage leaders, so I played Darth Vader. And it went really well. That pre-release box had 3 legendaries in it. It had a Desolator, the Avenger, and another command in it. And it also had 2 packs of the Luke Vader promos in it. Which is wild.
Yeah,
so it was a huge...
I've not heard that happening.
Yeah, it was just... I picked it out my box and went, oh, I've already opened one. Have I nicked this off someone else? And everyone around me was like, no, I've got mine. And I was like, ooh. Nice. And I kind of wanted the lean villain as well because I drew the big spaceships. I mean, you're never going to get to play a 9 and a 10. which I absolutely didn't until my last game, which was against Thrawn. And I absolutely, that game went a long time. And I did play a Desolator on turn 10. He had no answer but to bounce it back to my hand. So on turn 11, I played the Desolator again and blew something else up. And then he went, yeah, you've won. And I went, yes, I have. So I managed to win my pre-release on the Sunday. No one wanted the Twickenham ticket, so I took the ticket to go to Twickenham. Booked my train and hotel, which cost me as much as the booster box. So my main goal out of 156 players is to finish top 32. So I can get a box, break even.
That would be good.
I did all my math yesterday, which I sent to our little WhatsApp group where we just chat about Star Wars nonsense constantly. And it's pretty hard going, I think. So I've just pulled it up here. So we've got, out of 156 players, after 8 rounds of Swiss, which is how many rounds we're doing tomorrow, you'll have one person on 8-0, so that's good. Don't lose any games. Win 24 booster boxes. Definitely doable.
Easy, mate.
Yeah. Top 8 is... There's going to be 1 7-1 in 9th place, so don't lose your game early, and you'll still be in for, I think it's 2... Well, it breaks down to like top 3rd and 4th, and then top 8, top 16, top 32, top 64. But basically, to be in for a chance to win a booster box, you need to go 6 and 2, and not have lost your 2 games too early, because there will be about 8 players or something who will be over the top 32, but still at 6 and 2. So you don't.
That's the worst it can be.
Yeah.
You'd rather go 5-3 than 6-2 bubble, I think.
Yeah. And 5-3 will get you into the top 64, while 27 players at 5 and 3 will make it, and 29 won't make it. It's 5 extra booster packs. They've got so many like on fire demand like pods going for draft, sealed, constructed, multiplayer format. I think once people got their 2 or 3 losses, especially if they're early, you're just going to drop and you're just going to go play side events for the rest of the day, because basically every game you win you get another pack. So I think like you can really start farming packs, especially with how difficult product could end up being. Like a multiplayer.
There might not be any sort of shortage of product if it wasn't for them giving away 128 boxes or whatever the hell they're going to give away, right? It's a lot of product.
It is a lot of product. 24 boxes plus, however much, to give 258 people 5 packs each for your participation.
It's a lot of product.
It's a lot of product.
This is all going to be happening tomorrow as we're recording now, so it's going to be in the past for when you guys get your hands on this.
Yeah.
Danny, can you tell us what you're going to be playing and why?
So, I historically have always been a mid-range player. In any card game that I play, aggro is for chumps. The dex is cheap generally, and it faces the place, and I don't like it. I don't find it engaging. I really like I like control, but I don't like playing control decks because who's got the attention span, right? So mid-range kind of gives you that option to go aggressive against the control decks, but then also control the aggro decks. So I've gone for Boba Green. I've taken Astromex deck. I haven't changed a single card in it. I've been playing it loads for the last 2 weeks. Basically after pre-release, I was like, I'm playing this Boba deck. I've played tons of games on TTS. I've taken it to my locals for the last 2 weeks. And I've played a couple of games against one of my mates up here, just in person against my Sabine deck, which I also have built. And I just feel more and more confident going into that Sabine matchup the more times I've played it.
I think generally in card games, there's a lot to be said for being familiar with something and locking in early. I think that's a big term that's used now, is locking in early. And I think that's generally correct. I think it's generally correct not to follow the meta, and to a certain extent, don't play IG88 just because you know it. But there is a bit of give there. But I think locking in, especially again that's this young, against people that might not have been able to put in the hours that you have. Not saying that you've been smashing it, but you've put in a fair few hours now.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a correct decision for sure.
Yeah, and especially when like Bobby came out and was like, right, these are the three big decks at the moment. It's Iden, it's Sabine, it's Boba, all in green. So you need to be aware about what these decks can do and how you can play these decks. And I have seen, like, in Poland last weekend, there's a big tournament where a Chewbacca deck hit top 8. So there's something to be said about the Sentinel, like, aggression, but apparently the meta there was very control-focused. But also just getting physical product in hand, like the Boba deck that came second wasn't running any Darth Vaders because the guy couldn't get hold of them. Just couldn't financially afford them or couldn't find anyone to buy them off. And he still managed to pilot, a subpar deck, 100% without, taking Vader out of Boba is a worse deck.
Well, I think, like, that's the thing as well, which is, like, for me currently, it's crazy that Vaders and stuff are this expensive when a lot of the time when you see them, you've resourced them because it's too early to play them, right? Like, it's quite a lot of money. It's like, say, it's hard to get, which only increases how much it costs. So, like, for me, I was in Destiny, I played Jabba, right? I used to be my Discord handle, everything was Jabba. So, like, I was always going to go black yellow. Now I've seen the price of Boba, the unit, and the Vader as well. So just villain in general. I've been sort of put off that a little bit. So I'm having a bit of an identity crisis because black yellow is 100% like
your jam
on that. Yeah. So I'm not going to go play tomorrow, but I'm currently messing around with an Inquisitor deck, which is very fun, which is villain, but it's blue-red, so I don't have to even think about playing a suboptimal deck, quote unquote.
I mean, you've already done it by restricting yourself to blue and red.
As soon as I said it, I was like, this is going to come back to haunt me. Yeah, he's not great, but he's good fun. And when he goes off, he really goes off.
Yeah, we've played a couple of test games where we just play a bit of Jang. Like, we'll play a couple of, like, Boba Sabine or Boba Ridens, and then we'll be like, right, it's time to have some fun, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Grand Inquisitor, not quite there. I think he could definitely be kind of like a nice mid-range deck. He's definitely better than IG-88.
Yeah, he's better than IG, but definitely the worst of the blue villains right now. I think so. What I like is the grit mechanic's really cool, and the synergies there, which is obviously mostly in blue at the minute. And I think so. My hot take is that we've seen the key art for the next set, and Kylo is in it. And I think if he's in it and he's not self-damaging for some sort of benefit, then it's just
they've missed a trick,
wrong.
haven't they?
Yeah, so I'm hopeful that, again, same with IG-88, as these sets go out, and the battlefields, right, the bases, sorry, as these sets go out, we'll get, like, more support for all these classes. Like, Hera currently is one of the worst leaders, I think, but she's only going to get better as the card pool increases, right?
Yeah, when you can start getting different kinds of Spectre units as well, and, if you get, like, Jedi Knight... No, not Jedi Knight, Ezra, because he never was a Jedi Knight. But if he starts doing all of his Force pushy stuff that he was doing in Ahsoka...
Yeah, like the sort of Force monk stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that's the good thing about this game as well, is like the leaders that aren't good right now aren't necessarily going to always be bad unless you're IG-88.
Yeah.
In which case, get in the bin.
Yeah.
The other one obviously is... Sorry,
carry on.
I was going to say the other thing I'll mess around with is Han, because Han is Han.
Casino Han, to be precise.
Casino Han is so fun, dude. I cannot, like... I'm not even going to... I'll just be gushing about it for an hour, but that is the most fun I've had playing a card game in a long time.
Yeah.
You should play Casino Han if you've not, even just to play on TTS, because it's so fun.
I remember I was playing some Control Luke deck, and I brought him out, and you just went, don't get cocky, flip the top card, and it was just a 7. And it was just like, bam! And I was just like, okay, cool, Luke's dead.
Yeah, as soon as you brought Luke out, I was just like, I think I passed as well. I was like, I sold it to you so much. It was so obvious that I was going to cast the spell. But you have to sort of bring out your leader at that point, right? Yeah. But I was just there like, this is going to be a one shot. This is going to be so fun.
Yeah.
And C3PO in that deck is just insane, right? Because you're just always like 7, hit me.
Yeah. Resource. It's really cool. It's a nice deck. I would recommend anyone just for it to go from tabletop simulator.
Yeah.
And just give it a couple of rounds. It's very enjoyable.
100%.
What I was just going to say was as well, just coming back to like the Ezra Force Monk stuff. One thing that Fantasy Flight games have generally had is like the secretiveness of the Star Wars property and then it actually coming to fruition, like within the game. Like it's quite a long lead time generally for that kind of stuff to happen.
So you're saying that they'll be quite on it.
Well, it's like Acolyte, right? Had its trailer the other day. That's coming out in June or something, or July. Like it'd be super cool to see some like early Old Republic stuff, but we probably won't see that for a year, 2 years, because they're not going to have known any of these characters' names, locations. So that's always a kind of like my big downside is that you watch these new TV shows that come out and you're like you get so hyped. Like Andor was amazing. I can't swim.
Yeah, oh god, don't.
Don't.
Pour one out for Andy Serkis.
Yeah, pour one out. And like I can't wait for the I can't swim card.
Gosh.
Like that is iconic as never tell me the odds, don't get cocky, just sad.
I would say
Circus.
as iconic, but it is pretty iconic. Yeah, it's pretty.
Or just climb.
Yeah, climb. Yeah, climb. Just see that.
Just climb would be. I don't know what it will do, but I just want climb. Like there's so many. Oh, actually, just gushing about like thematic stuff within the game. I'm Not Your Father is incredible. Like deal like 7 damage unless you say no. Then you get to draw 3 cards instead.
Yeah, which is literally just like your opponent chooses A or B, but they've worded it in such a way which is so good. And I think I saw like an interview where that was in like their demo thing, and they're like, "Oh, you should totally just word that in," and they were like, "Yeah, okay, we'll word it in," and like they just kept it because the playtesters, everyone just loved it. Like, why wouldn't you? Like, it's so good.
Yeah, and it's the same with Don't Get Cocky, right? You're like, hit me. I've got a 3. Am I going to draw higher than a 4? Nah, I won't. Right. And you flip me, and then it's like 6, and you're like, ah.
There's no better feeling than when like your opponent's got a Vader out and you play Don't Get Cocky, and then you flip like a Battlefield Marine, and you're like, oh, I really, really wanted that to be a 7. Like I needed that to be a 7, or just to try and finish this Vader off or whatever. Like, or if you've got like 1 damage on the board that you can do, and then you reveal a 2, and you're like, oh, and then you reveal a 3, and you're like, is 5 enough? And then you look and you've got like these options, and you're like, do I just stick 5 damage on him, or do I go for the big one, right? Do I just hope that I've got like a C-3PO or an R2 on top?
And what should you do? Don't get cocky, kid.
You should never get cocky.
Never get cocky.
But you should also never tell me the odds. So I'm getting all these different about what to go to. But I love that deck. But so anyway, you're going to be playing Boba Green. Yeah. You're pretty happy with Sabine matchup. You pretty happy with your Iden matchup?
As comfortable as I can be. My sideboard is just jammed full of stuff to do the control matchup. I still haven't really worked out what I'm meant to be taking out to put all this really good stuff in. Reinforced Walker is just so good. Yeah. It's just a huge body. It lets you draw a card. You can then discard it, and you can heal. Which could come in clutch later on, but then you've also got to be careful about going super wide, and they've got all their spot removals. I've got the Relentless, is it? That blanks out the first action card your opponent plays each turn. But that's a 9 drop. It's like, am I actually getting to 9 with Boba? I've got all the ramp. I've got triple DJ's Death Star, and I've got the 3 resourceful resupply. Yeah. So there is a good chance I could just be like,
if anyone's getting there, you are right.
Probably. Like I'm just gonna ramp like mad. So I've just got to spend some time on the train today to just work out what cards am I pulling out in that matchup, which ones will be good, and you won't see this, you won't know this by the time I start doing it tomorrow. But at the end of each round, I'm just going to upload a little short. Just say what my opponent was playing, like a big kind of impactful moment within the game, and if I won or lost.
And you're going to do that even if you go 0-8?
Well, if I do that, then I'll be on side events, and I'll just...
No one cares about your side event.
Well, yeah. I think I'm going to try and farm multiplayer pods, because you get a pack for entering, it's like £7, and you get 2 packs for winning. So you get 3 packs for £7, and it's just 1 game done, and it's not a best of 3. You haven't got to play like a little mini tournament.
Yeah, potentially 3
packs. But at £7, it's only £2 more than a pack. So you could lose a
Yeah.
couple, win one, and you'll probably be good sin.
I'm excited to try that as well. I've not played any of the Twin Suns.
Yeah,
at
I need
all.
to read the rules.
Yeah, same, to be fair.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Yeah, I think that probably wraps up, right? Like,
yeah, I think we could keep chatting absolute nonsense for hours, but we probably do need to stop at some point.
Yeah, sadly. But if you guys want any particular content, deck techs, interviews, reports, like I'm sure we'll have a longer form tournament report from Danny when he's back.
Yeah.
Just let us know, because we will shill for that, for those
Likes.
tasty likes, subscribes.
Gives me the endorphins. It's like opening a pack and pulling a showcase. That's what getting a like on a video means to me. So, costs you nothing.
Please do.
Drop the button down below. I'm pointing downwards for our audio listeners and James. There's a thing up there. Or up there.
That's a recording that we can put out to people.
Yeah.
This is the Alliance Dispatch. Over and out.